Greetings and welcome. Rebecca Carner, Biofield tuner here. Just wanted to make a short contemplative video. I'm not even sure I'm going to do any forks or put any frequencies on this. I really wanted to talk about an analogy that I came up with after a discussion with a friend about the way I see humans emerging in 2025 and pretty much also in 2026, but really critically in 2025. I see humans as one might imagine nuggets of gold that have been embedded in a riverbed over time. If you imagine yourself as one of those hunks of gold in its sort of natural habitat, embedded in silt and sand and dirt in the bottom of a creek, those nuggets probably very much imagine themselves being held safe and being secure and being housed quite contentedly, compacted down at the bottom of a creek. But if you imagine somebody coming with a large sift, a large pan, a screen, and scooping up the silt and the sand and the muck down at the bottom of a river, and you start to shake it and shimmy it, the stability, the environment of silt and sand, that compacted, habituated environment, that is experiencing a violent upheaval and dismantling, right? So if you imagine institutions, cultural conventions, thought forms, limiting ideas of what humans are and what they can be and what it means to be human, or what one has to be, what one has to do to be okay in the world. These are all habituated, kind of developed over time constructs, and in that way confinements, just like the silt and sand and dirt and rotting leaves and stuff that builds up over time, becomes the debris, the silt at the bottom of a creek that holds precious nuggets. But if you imagine panning for gold, screening for gold, and you shake away all the debris, while that can feel very disorienting, it probably feels, if you were in that moment a piece of sand or dirt, that action probably feels pretty violent and kind of alarming, dysregulating, as they say. But if you imagine yourself the piece of gold, which I argue humans in this analogy are the gold, we are gold. Our precious divine nature, even though it's being dislodged from its habitual habitat, the nature of the golden nugget is in no way being disrupted by the act of it being extracted from its prior environment. And then once the nuggets of gold have been extracted and all the debris and all the sand falls away and you have these nuggets of gold, any number of things can be done with said gold. This gold can be melted down into and forged into tools or jewelry or transistors or various conductive properties, and all the things that can be made with gold that have yet to be discovered or deeply understood. All of these things can happen once the gold is extracted. And also, in so doing, if you melt it down, if you hammer it out, if you make gold leaf and plate something with it, the essence of the gold is never changed by that, right? Its precious, pure elemental quality remains regardless of the manipulation of its current environment, of whatever processes it might go through in the future. Its molecular construct, its golden quality never changes. In fact, in some ways, you could argue that once extracted, it becomes much more refined, and its finer qualities are able to be tapped into and further revealed once the initial rigmarole, huckus muckus, of all of extracting it from the bottom of the river, once that's done, its finer qualities can emerge ever more so. I very much believe that that is what is coming down the line for us. And just like that initial panning action is by its function disruptive and kind of volatile, if you think of it, there's a lot of that going on right now, all over the world. Things that make you go, okay. But just like the panning for gold, just like that abrasive commotion had function, I I I postulate that our current, some of the things that seem distressing that are currently happening also serve that same mass function of being status quo disruptors and of making available unforeseeable, unforeseen, unprecedented possibilities, just like the nuggets of gold that had been habituated in the bottom of a creek probably would have been happy to stay at the bottom of the creek, but they can be made into things so much more beautiful once they go through the panning process. I hope that this analogy is useful as the next several months, maybe 18 months, really unfurl. And if you imagine yourself and sort of return to the idea that you are elemental, that you are of this earth, and it is 100% appropriate that you are here. And if you imagine that there is a incredibly well-designed process that is unfolding in every moment, that you are in the exact correct position for you to be in at all times, and that as you progress through this process, that it can only be 100% appropriate, spot on, groovy, a good idea, exactly what needs to be. It might really help all of us navigate the uncertain and undoubtedly changing and shifting terrain of the next immediate time that we will be going through. As always, like and share this video. This wasn't a tuning, this was more of a spoken contemplation. Please check out RebeccaCorner.com if you'd like to contact me, or if you'd like a private session, or if you just want to reach out and see what frequency and energy and vibrational tuning can do for you. All my best to you. May we all navigate this transitional time with as much natural grace as we can possibly muster. I'm, I'm right there. I'm in the same pan, getting shook up with all y'all. All my best to you. Thanks.